Yeah, I always can remember some of the troubles on doors, and there's me on about fights on the doors and all that, and remembering names. But I can remember names. When I was 16 years old, 15, 16, I used to go down to White Hart Acton, and the White Hart Acton was mad. It was a crazy place, some nutcases inside you. And right next door to the White Hart Acton was the police station, Acton Police Station. Really old fashioned there. It was really old fashioned, you know what I mean? And on the door, you had Big Molly Bush, was about 6'7", 6'8", maybe, ex-fighter, big giant of a man, But I used to going there and shape up to him all the time, Just me being an amateur fighter. It was an old puncher, wasn't it? Big flat nose, always drinking, aggro. Man was aggro in there, Then you had Dave Griffiths. Dave Griffiths was a nice guy, short guy, 5'10", built like a brick shit house, not ex, but cab driver, black cab driver. I don't know if he was a black cab driver then, but he became a black cab driver. I don't know if he's still alive, Dave. They must be, well, I'm 74, they got to be 82s, 80, maybe even older than that, you know what I mean? Then you have Freddie Clark. Freddie Clark, he was ex doorman, years ago, yeah. Ex bodyguard, a proper man. He's fought some good fighters in his days. Good professional fighter. I think they done his legs with a sledgehammer or something, smashed his legs up. I'm not quite sure. Freddie Clark, and the old young man George Clark, his cousin, his brother, I think it was. And they're related to Manny Clark. Manny Clark's George Clark's dad. Manny Clark's that's Manny Clark's dad, George, and his uncle. Yeah, and they're all fighters. Even all the families are fighters. Manny Clark's a fighter. Young Manny Clark, he's a fighter. We're all fighters, you know what I mean? All been fighting all their life, yeah. But they was two very hard people. You had Cliff Fields. Cliff Fields, very young then, mate. Cliff Fields, he was on the door. Cliff, I can't really remember Cliff that well, but I can remember the face wise. You had another guy there called Big George. He had a big scar down his face. He could have it, He was very wide shoulders, big man, yeah. And that was the bouncers on the door. I think there was another one now. I can't remember his name, but they're the doorman, And this particular time that I went in there, it was like going to happen. It was going to kick off because what had been happening, the bouncers have been taking liberties with people. When they've been dragging them out, they've not been dragging them out, they've been bashing them up. Like Molly Bush, the Clarks and all that lot have been bashing people up. So the people inside, they ain't going to stand for it no more. So you had people like Tommy Green, Freddie Green, Mickey Everton, Keith Everton, Gary Japeman, Keith Japeman, O'Neill there. Sorry, mate, I'm forgetting first name. O'Neill. There was so many of it. It was so Alan Harding, George Harding, Charlie Harding. There's like Johnny Harding. There was all there, mate. They was all waiting for that day to smash the bouncers in, yeah. And when it kicked off, yeah. It kicked off straight away. People coming from another area thought they'd come in and have a bit of a good night and think it was like just a normal gaff. Walked in there and that was it. That was why. That was the part of it kicking off that day. And the bouncers knew it was going to kick off, but they weren't quite sure which day it was going to kick off. That's why they got more in there, yeah. And when it got kicked off, these guys from, they come from Brentford, Hounslow, that way, it kicked off, mate. They got smashed to pieces. And then the bouncers got involved, and then it was off, mate. And then there was 30 people kicked off. It went, everyone kicked off. Everyone kicked off. There was Mo Claridge as well, my old mate Mo. Mo Claridge used to be a DJ for Radio Caroline. Anybody remember Radio Caroline, the boat? He used to work on there, yeah, Mo. He worked on there later, but this geezer Mo Claridge, great dancer, mate. Fantastic dancer. His brother, Peter Claridge, yeah. And we just, everyone kicked off. Everybody kicked off, and it was like absolute murders. It got to a stage where it all come out onto the road. You got Freddie Clark, George Clark, back to back. They was back to back, mate. No one could really get into them, but they did get pint mugs, the pint mugs across their heads, smashed their heads up, you know. They got whacked about the face, but they didn't go hit the floor, mate. They didn't hit the floor. They stayed up and kept fighting back to back. Fair play to them, yeah. But at that time, I didn't know Manny Clark. You know, I met Manny Clark later on in the Mount, you know. But yeah, the fighting families, you know, fighting family, very hard family, mate. George and Fred, they was proper on the door. Then you had Big Molly Bush, and with this guy called, I forget his name, the big guy with the scar on his face, George, I forget his name, but mate, back to back, they two was knocking them all out as well. Cliff Fields, I can remember him being there, chasing people. I can remember Cliff Fields and Dave Griffiths chasing people, Mickey Everton they chased, and Keith, yeah, and Tommy Green, they chased them because they'd done across the head with bottles, they chased them. And I can remember Big Molly Bush, I think it was Molly Bush or Dave Griffiths, shaping up to do them. And I can remember Mickey Everton kicking him up the groin, yeah, knocking him on the floor and steaming into them. Yeah, it was madness. That was a mad fight. And you know what? Not one old bill come out of that fucking police station. Really old police station. Not one old bill come out of there. They must have shit themselves. It was bottles. There was bricks. There was things being chucked into the club, smashing the club up from the outside, all the windows. We was all running all around the gaff. I got smashed to pieces. Dave Griffiths and Cliff Fields was smothered with blood. Cliff Fields, I can remember that. He was smothered with blood. And Dave Griffiths, they was smothered with blood, mate. They got hit across there with bottles and glasses, stabbed in the back with glasses. You know, I mean, people don't understand. It isn't about knives. They were smashing glasses and just stabbing the bouncers in the side, in the neck, in the fucking arms, in the legs, in the back, and the blood. It was like the bouncers. I mean, when I see Freddie Clark and George Clark fighting, they were smothered with blood, mate. They were smothered with blood. I mean, the blood was like madness. Maury Bush, 6'7", 6'8". He was back to back as well, but I see Maury Bush get hit across the head with a brick. He hit the floor, mate, and they steamed into Maury Bush. I mean, they steamed into him and they really obliged him bad, yeah. And it's funny, isn't it? Like, for young 15, 16 years of age, yeah, and then going down the boathouse, and Big Molly Bush is there. He's on the door of the boathouse, you know, and we went in and walked upstairs. There was a bar downstairs around the back, but walked upstairs to the club, and there's Big Molly Bush there, and I really now think that he was with Cliff Fields. He was up there, and as soon as you see a lot of us come from Acton, the White Hart, you know, walking up the stairs towards him, he wouldn't let us in. He said, "No, you can't come in." You know, we was going to kick off. We was all going to kick off again. There was about 20 of us went down there, down the boathouse, because the White Hart was shut because of what happened. We smashed it up. I mean, we smashed the White Hart to pieces. I mean, everything got, the bars, the tables, the chairs. So it took about a month to get it all together before we could go back down there. But anyway, we got in. We did eventually get in there. And I can always remember this. That's right, because I was only young, 15, 16. And I was in the fruit market at that time as well, yeah. And I used to wear a scarf. around my neck, like, you know, the greengrocers used to wear scarves, silk scarves, flat cap, you know, and a big overcoat. I used to have a big Crombie overcoat, you know, like a grey blue one, you know, big buck, you know, that the head, and looked the part, a young kid. And I went downstairs to the bar downstairs. I can always remember this. I walked in there, and I could hear people saying, "Oh, it's Ray Hill. He's going to kick off." You know, I was in the foot market, yeah. So you flash, you know, bouncing about. So anyway, I was in there, and it's going to kick off, yeah. I didn't care. It's going to kick off, yeah. So the guy said something, you know, I nutted him, pulled him across the bar, you know. He was in the corner, nutted him, pulled him across the bar, battered him with all my mates, we battered them and all that. And these big bouncers come in. And these bouncers come in, I don't know the names, I don't know who they are, didn't really know them, you know what I mean? But they come in, and one of them like hit me on the chin and made me rock a bit, you know. And then I done him across the head with a glass, as you do. And then we went outside, and I said to him, you know, do you want to fight? You know, come on, you cunt, you know, put it on him. And he shaped up and bang, bang. He done me about 3 times in the jaw. I just say, you know, all my life. And I was all shook up, yeah. And then I turned round, and I was on one knee, so I got up and kicked him in the groin. And then he went down, and I rushed over there, crash. Smashed him about the face a few times, kneed him in the face and everything. When he got on the floor, I jumped on him and bash, giving him grief. And then ran, do you know what I mean? I ran, and all the guys that I come with, about 20 of us, we all ran, you know, every one of us went because it was going to kick off big time. The bouncers, the police, you know, you could hear sirens coming on, all that, we was going to get it, you know what I mean? And my mate Leslie, whereas we run across the bridge, I can't remember, something was happening the other side, and some people coming the other side chucked him in the Thames. Can always remember. Picked my mate Leslie up, threw him in the Thames. And I thought that was it. I thought, fucking hell, he's going to die, mate. He ain't going to, you know. And he was like, and the next minute, you know, he was up and he was swimming across the Thames. You know, really, it was lucky that it was either coming in or going out. I don't know what it was, you know, but it was lucky the current didn't take him down or take him under. But he's a strong swimmer, and he was swimming across, and he had a big jacket on. He was swimming across, and he got out the other side, you know, and he had to laugh, mate. I remember them times, fucking hell, man. Uxbridge, man. I live in Uxbridge now, round by Uxbridge now, yeah. And I remember coming down to a club in Uxbridge. What was it called? Uxbridge, Burton's. That's it, Burton's. Burton's of Uxbridge. It was a club, yeah. You had the downstairs. You had Burton's the tailors. Everybody remember Burton's the tailors? John Collier's. Yeah, everybody's got their suits done. Burton's and John Collier's. You know, and also you go down Richmond, the Ivy shop in Richmond. But anyway, we was like Uxbridge, and we went there, and we was always in trouble, always fighting, mate, always fighting. And I had a bad fight in there, bad fight, you know, and got in the end they chased me down to Uxbridge train station. Just about got away, you know, got on a train and got away, but I was in trouble, mate. But I bashed up about 3 or 4 people in there, really did. I mean, I was a bit of an handful as a kid, could really have a fight. The funniest one really was the castle, Richmond, yeah. When we kicked off in the castle, man, I had a right bad fight in the castle. And I used to like Prince of Wales check suits, yeah. I was like flashy, you know what I mean? 3-piece, yeah. Nice lapels, the lot, yeah. And I also wear a cap, or not a cap, a Chorby hat, yeah. Only kid, 16, 17. Chorby hat, Prince of Wales check suit, the business, you know what I mean? And fighting in the castle, and really having it off in there, yeah. And coming out, and there used to be a Wimpy bar there, yeah? And me, Bobby Collins, Wacker Collins, Philip Collins was too young, he can't remember this. Wacker Collins, Bobby Collins. There was about, I'm not quite sure if Cracknell was there. There was quite a few people from the market. Derek Pierce was there. Derek Pierce had a white fight. He was on the door anyway. But anyway, so I'm there, and I've been in the Wimpy bar, and these geezers there, I was eating the Wimpy, and with these geezers we've had a bit of trouble in the boat in the castle with them, and they're there, about 5 of them, yeah, no, 3 of them there was, and they're calling me. Who you think you are, fucking gangster, mate? You know, all that game. Look at you in your Prince of Wales check suit and your hat, you know. And I went, do what, mate? And Bobby Collins, I walked towards his geezers, and the others, 3 or 4 of us, was going to walk towards them. Bobby Collins said, no, leave it. Right, sort this right out. And I did. I was a good boxer, man. I was a good amateur, yeah. And I stood with these 3, and bang, bang, bang. You know, hit one, crash, left, bang. No, sorry, through right, knocked him, bang, left, and whoop. Yeah, man, I've done the 3, smashed them, yeah. And then we was walking down the road by Richmond Bridge, yeah. The other side was a club across the road. We was going to the club. And as we did, a car, mate, come out from nowhere. But I can mad the geezer, you know, like you can't say 200 miles an hour. In them days, cars could just about 200 miles an hour. But this geezer come at us like a lunatic. And Bobby Collins pulled me out of the way. If he hadn't pulled me out of the way, they'd have killed me. Yeah. But they went straight into the shop. But they reversed out quick, yeah. They was lucky, you know. They're lucky that they got away. They reversed up, because if they hadn't reversed up, they'd have wound up getting killed, because like there was so much glass about, you know. They got stabbed up. I could see Wacker Collins and Bobby Collins, and who else is there? There was about 4 of us, 5 of us, and they'd got stabbed up, because they would have stabbed them up, you know, that showed the doubt, you know. But all us, it was all fruit porters, from Brentford Market. It was, yeah, man. And these guys tried to reverse up, tried to do me again. Bobby pulled me out of the way, and then we got in Bobby's car. He had I'll never forget, he had a 4.2, I think it was, or 3.8 Jag Sovereign, the old Jags, the old ones, you know. And he put his fucking, some silly engine in it, like, I don't know, some engine in it, mad engine. And it was like a lunatic at the time, different gearbox. And he was chasing these geezers, and we lost them in Ham, yeah? We was driving around Ham like nutcases, you know, I swear. All of us had big bits of glass and bits of wood, and we really killed them, mate, really killed them. Because they tried to kill us, didn't they? Yeah, mate, we've had some good times, yeah? Some good times, but, you know, when I'm like, being around a fruit market, with all that lot, all Bobby Collins, Wacker Collins, Philip Collins, Johnny Wells, you know, Cracknell, Mickey Knoll, and all the two what's his names? There was 2 guys that worked for Vitacrest, yeah, and what was their names? Nearly had their names in, and they were both Aikido, black belt, 10 Dan, whatever they were. They was Kenny Barber, that's it, Kenny Barber and Kenny Griffiths. They were both 10 Dan or something like that, something stupid, you know. And these guys, quiet, mate. I used to work with them, Vitacrest, that's it, Vitacrest. I used to work with them, yeah, Vitacrest. And they were quiet, mate. They were so quiet. And when they used to drive around the listers, start it up, they used to go around the listers, and everybody respected them, mate. They were the business, yeah. Cracknell, Kenny Griffiths, sorry. Kenny Griffiths hated Cracknell. Hated him, because he was too flash, Cracknell, wasn't he? And it always had rows, them two. When I was in Vitacrest, and I'd get in the back sometimes holding the tomatoes up, yeah, and you can see Kenny Griffiths stop his lister and walk over to Cracknell and go, he's pointing his fingers at him, and Cracknell would fold. He'd have to fold because he couldn't say that to Kenny Griffiths. Kenny Griffiths would have just smashed into pieces. He was so quiet, you know. But there was a guy that worked in Vitacrest, a salesman, yeah, blonde guy, good-looking guy, man, and he trained a lot, yeah, and I was quite a lump myself, yeah, but not as, when I looked at him, he had these really shirts, yeah, and you could see all the chest and the shoulders, and I went, I want to be like that. You're only a kid. I want to be like that, you know what I mean? That's what I want to be like, the same shape as him. And I did. I got bigger than him. So when I actually did go to my YP and come out of that and all that, you know, and I went and see him, I was a lump, yeah, I was big. And he went, oh, you look good, mate, you know what I mean? And you go around the corner and you got Billy Wells, Arthur Wells, Alfred Wells, Charlie Wells, all the Wellses, yeah, them lot could really have it. They were proper fighters, ex-pros, street fighters, dangerous. Alfie Wells, he was more dangerous than a lot of people that I knew later on in my life. Alfie Wells, you upset him, you was in trouble. Because if he didn't do you then, he'd do you later. He's a geezer that would come out of nowhere and stab you up bad. He stabbed so many people up, hurt so many people, Alfie. Poor, he was bad. George Wells, the fighter, Big George. Tommy Wells, big fighter. But there were some good fighters, mate, there. Some good hard people in the fruit market. I should imagine that 99.999% of porters and also salesmen that worked in Brentford Market could really have it, you know. It was one of them things. But I used to like, what was his name? Chick Summers. Alfie Summers and Chicky Summers. Chick Summers, little chick with a strawberry hat. Mate, he used to dance. He used to love dancing, yeah? But he used to always shape up. Him and Cracknell, always shaping up. But certain people, you knew you could only go so far with them, yeah? You can only go so far with them, and that was it. Anyway, bang, bang, well, because my phone's only come off now. Big one later on, yeah? Nice one, bye.